Okay, so today we're going to continue factoring, but we are going to factor equations instead of expressions, which is what we have been factoring. We have been factoring just plain expressions where it was something like 2x squared plus 4x minus 9. I'm not even sure that factors, but we've been factoring, we've been doing our box, and that's all you can do because this is an expression, and so you can factor it. These would be the factors. But when you're done factoring, that's the answer. You can't solve anymore. That's all you can do. So we are going to be looking at taking equations and factoring equations. So let's do the first one. And there's 3 steps. So the first thing it says is that you have to set the equation equal to 0. So for this first one, I'm going to move the x over, and I'm going to move the 30 over so that I have x squared minus x minus 30 equals 0. So it is set equal to 0. Okay. Now, I want to do the factor this, so I can do the box method if I'd like, or you can, if you just know how to factor it without the box, then you can do that as well. But let's do this. So right here, I'm going to put x squared and negative 30. Okay, what are the factors of negative 30 that make negative 1? Negative 6 and 5. Okay, so when I take the GCF, what's the GCF of negative 6 and negative 30? Negative 6. Oh, I forgot the x's. Oops. Okay, what is the GCF of x squared and 5x? The GCF of x squared and negative 6x? X. And this GCF of 5x and negative 30? 5. Okay, so my factors are x minus 6 and x plus 5. Now, because this is an equation, what are those equal to? 0. So if they're both equal to 0, then I can set each one of them equal to 0. So if I solve for x, I get x equals 6 and what? X equals negative 5. So my solutions are x equals negative 5 and x equals 6. So what are the x-intercepts? Negative 5 and 6. Are you with me? We getting it? Okay. Now, if it's not equal to 0, can you do this? No. It has to be equal to 0. Otherwise, you have to stop at the factors. Yes, question?
If I put x equals negative 5 and x equals 6, will that still be okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Can't you just graph it?
If you don't have a calculator, no. Okay, so let's do the next one. So what do I need to do first? I need to move the 10x over. So I'm going to end up with 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. Okay, now I'm ready to do a box. Right here I'm going to put 3x squared, and right here I'm going to put negative 8. Now I am looking for the factors of negative 24. Where did I get negative 24?
From multiplying 3 and negative 8.
3 and negative 8. And I want them to add to be what?
10.
Negative 10. So what are the factors of negative 24 that add to make negative 10? What? Negative 12 and 2. Okay, because 6 and 4 make 10, but is there any way to make negative 10 and negative 24 with 6 and 4? Because 2 negatives would make positive 24. Okay, so now I can do my GCF. So, oops, I forgot the x's. I keep forgetting the x's. Okay, so what's the GCF of negative 12x and negative 8? Negative 4. The GCF of 3x squared and 2x? X. GCF of 3x squared and negative 12x? 3x. And 2x and negative 8? So I have x minus 4 and 3x plus 2. Now if I set them both equal to 0, oh wait, this is just a minus. So what is x?
4.
4. Okay, now this one's a little bit trickier because it's 2 steps. So what do I need to do first? Subtract 2. So 3x equals negative 2, then divide by 3. So x equals negative 2/3. So my solution is negative 2/3 and 4. Notice I always put those in order from least to greatest. That is not something you have to do. It's just like a common thing a lot of people do. So where would this cross the x-axis? Negative 2/3 and 4. Okay, those would be my x-intercept. Okay, now look at this next problem. Is it already set equal to 0? Yes. Is it a trinomial? Does it have 3 terms? No. What do both terms already have in common? An x. Okay. Now, this is called factoring out a GCF. You should always look to see if you can factor out a GCF before you start the problem. Okay. So in this case, I can factor out an x before I've even started. So if I take an x out of both of them, am I done? Do I even need the box? No. Okay. They both had an x. I factored out an x. So what are my 2 x-intercepts? X equals 0 and x equals 2. So my solution is x equals 0 and x equals 2. Now, you have a calculator, right, for now. So can you check all of this work we're doing? You should type it in your calculator and you can see if it's crossing the x-axis at the appropriate place. Okay. Look at this next one. What am I going to move? I don't want to start with a negative, so I don't want to move the 2x squared. So what do I want to move? Move everything else. So I'm going to end up with 2x squared minus 8x minus 24. Now what do you notice about all 3 of those terms? What do they all have in common?
2.
They all have a 2. So I'm going to start by factoring out a 2. Now, I'm going to not do the box on this one. You're welcome to. But since A is now 1, what are the factors of 12 that make negative 4? Factors of 12 that make negative 4. Negative 6 and positive 2. Okay, do you see how on the simple ones like that I don't need the box? Because all I had to do was just ask myself, what are the factors of negative 12 that make negative 4? So then when I go to do the solution, x minus 6 equals 0 and x plus 2 equals 0. So what is x? 6 and negative 2. Now, what does that leading to out in the front? That's A. What did we learn about what does A do to a quadratic? It makes it either wider or vertical stretch or vertical. So does that have anything to do with the x-intercepts? Okay, so those don't change based on that. Okay, are we good? Let's look at the next page. Okay, at the bottom, these is just some quick ones. I just want to rapidly kind of look at the going from factors to x-intercepts. So if my factors are negative 9 and 1, what are the x-intercepts? I'm sorry, factors are x plus 9, so the x-intercept is negative 9 and positive 1. Remember, you just do the opposite. Okay, this one's a little bit trickier. 2x minus 3, if I set that equal to 0, then what is x? Yeah, so I'm going to say 3/2. 1.5 would also be good, and -6. So you just the opposite. Okay, going the other way. If the x-intercepts are 3 and -8, what are the factors? X minus 3 and x plus 8. Okay, this one is a little bit tricky. It's 2x minus 1 and x minus 5. There is a question on your test where you have to, if you've given factors, you have to find the x-intercepts, and if you're given x-intercepts, you have to find factors. So just know that that is something you need to do. The show me what you know is just factoring, and there's a bonus where you can solve them. So one thing I do want to make sure you know on the show me what you know, because it's a little, there's like question 1, 2, 3, 4. And on question 1, I give you the box and ask like what are the factors, and then I put a spot right here for you to put your answer. Okay, question 2, I give you the box, and then you have to put your answer in right here. Then 3 and 4, I don't give you the box, I just put a place for you to put your answer. Okay, so some people were asking me about that last period, so kind of in your mind split it up like that, so you know where. But when I put like this, that's just for you to write the answer so I can find it easily. Okay, then there's a bonus where you pick any one of these questions, set it equal to 0, and solve it. Does that make sense? So you're just going to factor 4 problems, and then as a bonus question, you can pick any one you want, set it equal to 0, and then solve and give me x equals x equals. Okay? So you have a little more time to work on your homework and the practices, and then we're going to take the quiz.